What is up, everyone? Very exciting week for us. We got Pixies releasing a new album the night the zombies came. We're going to talk about it today, but we just can't do it without our resident Pixies expert, Dixon. How are you?
Nice. Good to hear from you again. If I recall, you're the Pixies fanatic because we listened to Doolittle a few years ago, and you really took to that album.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I really like that album, and you introduced me to that album before I knew it was their like the best album that Pixies have ever come out with, and it's like hailed as the holy grail of everything they've ever done.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because as I listened to their new album the night the zombies came, or as I call it, TNtZC. A little shorthand there, but
okay, very good.
All right. Anyway, nice. I went back to listen to Doolittle. I'm like, Doolittle is such a GD good album. It's unbelievably good.
No, yeah, it is.
But anyway, yeah, pretty exciting stuff here. But yeah, I honestly do really like Pixies.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was a Pixies fan, growing up, and in high school, listened to a lot of Pixies. I didn't know they were still making new albums. I'm gonna be honest with you. I guess I feel like a really bad historian of the Pixies, but this is their 5th album since 2024. And or 2014, excuse me. I didn't realize that, and I knew they were touring, and I'd seen them live, and they were good. Different lineup. You don't have Kim Deal on the bass, which is a deal breaker, I think, for some people. But I'm amazed because I listened to it, and then I listened to a lot of Frank Black's Black Francis, and Frank Black is a solo artist, and I really like the solo stuff. So I guess that's kind of the same vein. It reminded me of early Pixies, a lot of his solo stuff. So here we are with a new album, as you say, TNtZC. I really had to look at that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I was looking at the title right here. But I want to put a quick disclaimer out too. I said I was a fan because I know people are going to freak out about this. I am a fan of the Pixies in that I really like Doolittle, and I've never listened to anything else. That's as far as my fanship goes. I'm a relatively new fan, so take it or leave it. That's where it stands. So I could say that I really enjoy that album. So sure, just putting that out there. And yeah, Dixon, you mentioned that they made how many 5 albums in the last decade, which kind of a lot. And I noticed that the true, I guess, quote unquote, true fans will break Pixies up into pre-breakup and post reunion. So
yes, right,
and that's how they separate them. Because my understanding is that the post reunion Pixies is different, not in the sense of the band makeup, but the sound of the music, and some people are disappointed with that, and I think that carried over to this album.
I think so too, and I think that and I guess that says a lot about artists and evolution and things. When you want to, I respect the fact that they're still doing their thing with a new sound. They're trying new things, and that says a lot about them as artists and who they are and what they want to accomplish, because you could kind of just ride that same 90s nostalgia wave if you wanted to, but they're making new music, which is awesome. That's really, really cool. With that being said, the single they came out with 4 months ago, You're So Impatient, I hate this song.
Wow.
I hate this mother effing song.
Wow.
I hate it.
Okay. All right. Well,
absolutely hate it.
Wow. Okay. Let's hear this.
I don't know what it sounds like. It's nothing like I don't want to hear this. Wow. I don't want to hear this from the Pixies either. And I'll tell you what, the comments on that video are very positive. Very positive.
That is something.
Yeah. Now, my favorite song. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Tell me.
No, I was just going to say, my thoughts on You're So Impatient. I was listening to it. And I'm like, okay, this is like kind kind of getting to what I personally, this is a personal thing for me. It's kind of getting towards what I like about the Pixies, but there's just like something missing. And you're trying to grab at it, but it's like, it's just not there. I almost feel like I'm listening to someone imitate what the Pixies want to sound like. I don't even know how to explain it, but it just wasn't enough there for me to really chew on.
No, I'm with you. No, I'm with you on that. And I see that because they have that Surfer Rosa, a few songs on Surfer Rosa and things like that. They have that have this sort of sound. So I get that. Then the single they released after that, Chicken. Chicken is exactly what I want to hear from the Pixies. that is a Pixies song. That is Doolittle. That's all those albums from back in the day.
Yeah.
And the one comment is, and I don't know if this is actually like a genre, I haven't looked into that much, but it was like, this is haunted surf music. And that is so perfectly
wow, that's
amazing.
That
was one of the comments on it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that's exactly, I never knew how to describe some of the songs they've released. And that is exactly how you would describe it. Haunted surf music. Chicken is the best song on the album next to, in my mind, the Vegas Suite. And I think that reminds me of earlier Pixies. The rest of it, listen to it, and it was there. It wasn't like something I was going to say like, oh wait, let me hear this again. Maybe not yet. Maybe on the first listen it takes some taking to, but I'd be curious to know your thoughts as well.
No, I totally agree with you, Dixon. And it's funny you mentioned You're So Impatient and Chicken. Those are the most played songs on the album. Now, You're So Impatient was a single, correct?
Yeah, 4 months ago it was released, and this came out in the end of about a week ago.
And was Chicken also released as another
Chicken
song off the album? Like, was like a pre-release or something?
I looked on our host YouTube. So You're So Impatient came out 4 months ago. Chicken came out 3 months ago, and then Oyster Bed and Motorola were 2 months ago and 1 month ago.
Okay, that also makes sense too, because those also have the most views, or I'm sorry, the most listens. I'm looking on Spotify, by the way. That has the most listens. We got about 1.5 million on You're So Impatient, 1.5 million on Chicken, and then Motorola and Oyster Beds have close to 1 million, I would say. And I thought that was pretty impressive, because a lot of people, I guess, still like Pixies. I didn't realize that they had this big following, but yeah, they have like 10 million monthly listens on Spotify. But regardless, I felt the same way about this album and The Night the Zombies Came. I feel like it was just kind of there, and it didn't. This is what's disappointing to me. And again, this is all personal. Again, I don't know many other songs by Pixies, but when I listened to Doolittle, I was hooked, and I listened to the whole thing, and I loved it.
Yes.
And especially, some of the more popular songs off the album, like Here Comes Your Man, Monkey Gone to Heaven, fantastic song. I mean,
man.
I Bleed. I friggin' love that song.
I love that song.
Such good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
I'm sorry. This has turned into a glazing Doolittle session.
Not to glaze,
but yeah. So it was such a stark contrast between listening to that album and then listen to this and just being, okay, it's music. Oh, yeah. Okay, this song's kind of interesting. Like, and then I listen, Chicken. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, but then I just kept going on, and maybe I perked up again when I heard Oyster Beds, and I'm like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, Oyster Beds is good, decent too.
Yeah, it definitely has a little bit of energy to it. But even in listening to it, I just felt like something was missing. Even the songs that really kind of perked my ears up, I still felt like just something wasn't there. It all comes down to I really wasn't getting that kind of like unique and raw feeling you get from, I guess, earlier Pixies. And I hate to be this person that
I
says
I
like, the older stuff was better. You know what I mean?
I know. I mean, we shouldn't even do this because I
know. Scrap this.
No, you're right. It's so true because it's like, well, it's not as good as Rolls, but I think it's true, and I think we're not alone here because Metacritic has them. So the Metascore is 72, which is generally favorable. 9 positive ratings, 5 mixed ratings, and it's one from where the heck was it? The one review considers it says it's really inconsistent. And
I could see
I
that.
think that's exactly right. I think that's exactly correct. And it's inconsistent in terms of, okay, what am I listening to? Where is this going? And I think it's probably Frank Black Francis, some of his stuff, and Santiago and all them, they, songs they might have had or worked on, or nuggets that they saved. And then it's just kind of like the band getting together and playing new stuff too. I think that's probably where that mix comes in. And I guess the problem with being a legendary, iconic act like from the 90s,
Right.
and then trying to do something new, it's a difficult balance, but you really have to give them credit, because like I said, they could just ride the wave, and
Right.
then I mean, they don't have to make new music if they really don't want to. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think overall it's like middle of the road for me, the whole album. I don't think it worked together as an album, some of the songs.
That's a really good way to put it. Inconsistent, and it just didn't really flow together. It didn't really have a coherent sound or story or anything like that. And
right.
but like you said, Dixon, I mean, it kind of sucks that we're bashing on it and comparing it to their older stuff, because they could have just rode the wave of their earlier popularity, but they're still here making music. I mean, there's something to be said for that. I mean, this is a band from a relatively, I guess, long time ago, you could say. And they had their fame and popularity back then. Post reunion, we're going into this, and they're still making music. I mean, you can't really fault them for that.
No, you can't. It's the truth, and I think they're. I don't think it's a bad album. Maybe I was a little over dramatic, but I don't think it's a bad album. But I think that the review, it's from OMH website, that it's inconsistent. I think that's pretty much spot on. That's my take on it. It's inconsistent, and I don't really have a general direction or general vibe for the album. And I was hoping this would be one of your new favorites, because usually things like this are, but I guess that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that is what happened. This is not one of my new favorites, and I hate to disappoint you. Now, but speaking of reviews, did you see what The Guardian wrote about this album? Now, this Guardian actually completely bashed this album.
Really?
Yeah, this is from Phil Mongredian, writer for The Guardian.
Our buddy Phil, friend of the show, Phil.
He said, quote, and this is the headline here.
Oh boy.
The Night the Zombies Came is an echo of past glories. The Boston band's slide towards mediocrity continues, with the high point being a song about a headless chicken. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's savage. And
I know.
I believe that's what I said.
Yes.
Gosh, I hate to be like this.
Yeah. But,
oh no.
Yeah, he said, none of it is especially awful, but there's such he uses the word paucity, but that's really like a pretentious way to say there's a lack of. So there's such a lack of memorable songs that it's like an echo of former glories. Now, I mean, I know that a lot of people on Reddit, now you go on the Pixies Reddit, a lot of people are liking this album. Some of them don't. But for the most part, they all hate this review, and they say that they're coming off too hard. Do you think this review is a little too harsh, Dixon?
Sliding towards mediocrity is definitely a little harsh. I don't think that's necessarily true. Yeah.
I agree.
That's a little harsh. But I agree with the sentiment of what am I supposed to remember?
Right.
It's like, okay, they're trying to be like they were, but they're not like they were. Yeah, and I don't know. And I guess it's a really unfair comparison. Like, oh, these guys have changed. Well, that's a good thing in reality.
Yeah.
I can't say that the music's gotten better, but they're still making something worthwhile. For the most part, like I said, there's a handful of good songs on this album. Right. And I mean, remember like the early mid 2000s when iTunes first came around.
Yeah.
And that changed the face of any album forever, because you could buy an album and two of the songs would be really good, and then the rest of them were just like filler. And I think iTunes forced artists to focus like really a lot on like 3 or 4 songs that you're going to sell consistently that are going to top a chart on iTunes. But then I think it also then forced the record companies and the artists as well to make a cohesive product and make a story and put it all together to sell units as opposed to just songs. So I think that there's something to be said for this, is that there's this seems like an iTunes album to me, like an early 2000s iTunes album to me.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I buy the first couple songs and then that's it.
Right. I mean, and that's kind of what they did, right? They released 4 songs off of this 13-song album, and they released it early, just, I don't know, maybe to top the charts. And I honestly think that they picked their best ones out of this album, which is saying something too.
I mean, I absolutely hate the song about being impatient, but it is what it is.
I do too. It's kind of, I don't know, the lyrics, everything. It's kind of ridiculous in my opinion as well. But I'm glad you said that before too, because I didn't expect you to have that opinion. I thought that you were gonna like that song.
Oh, really?
We were gonna clash heads there, but you know, Dixon, I actually have a funny little, well, maybe not funny, it's kind of more depressing, but kind of interesting story when I was going through Reddit. And I was I like to go through Reddit just because you get like user reviews. It's an easy way to just kind of filter out the music critics and just look at, what do the people think? What do people that are actual fans think? But anyway, I ran into this little tidbit here. Do you know David Lovering, the drummer? I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Listen to this story.
Okay. David
opened for Grantley Phillips at a club in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and also did a magic show. I didn't know this, but he's also a magician. I don't know if you knew.
Interesting.
That.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
After the show, Grant met with me and the fans, posed for pictures, signed merch, and chatted with everyone. Maybe the nicest dude on the planet. David, however, was at a table in the back with a sign that said something like autographs, $30, photos, $40. There was no line at his table. Now when I think of the Pixies, I think of that incident. That's kind of rough.
That's kind of something else. Yeah, because he was the guy. I mean, he's the original drummer, which is wild. Mm-hmm. That's something else.
I know. I was like, damn, that's actually kind of sad.
It is really sad.
But I do have more reviews here. Just little tidbits of things that I found around the internet. Now, this was kind of interesting to me. I found a review on Amazon. This person said, "Worst Pixies album ever." Although Zombies album still puts a lot of new music to shame, I expect more from Pixies that is just not there. I can't believe I'm not giving a 5-star rating to my favorite band.
Well, that really sums it up all right there.
That
really sums it all up. And it's and the lyrics. Black Francis, Charles Thompson wrote the lyrics for this. Mm-hmm. What I was surprised to see, and actually I meant to make note of this too, is they actually have a brand new bassist. Emma Richardson has only been with the band since this year, but you have Santiago, Black Francis, and David Lovering. And so they had a lineup on bass, and they always have the female bassist. Start with Kim Deal. I think that was just by like that to me even is like a sellout thing. Like you have to have a female now because you had probably the first female bassist in alternative music. You know what I mean? Like you have to do that. And I guess there is a certain vocal quality that she brings to these things. And I get that female voice, you get that. But even that seems like a sellout thing. Like, we still have the woman, we still have the girl. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I totally agree with you. It's like a gimmick at some point.
Yeah, that's what it seems like almost. Because then they had a girl before that, Paz.
Yeah, Paz. Man, I'm doing pretty bad with last names here. Paz Lenchantin. Let me get these friggin' names.
Remember when you said that Chris Stapleton's wife was named Morgane?
Yeah.
That has to be my favorite moment of the show that we've ever done.
I kind of want to go back and listen to that. We got to make a compilation of that.
Yeah, Chris and his wife Morgane.
I think you actually burst out laughing when you said that.
I had a hard time. I had a hard time recovering. I remember that very specifically.
Man.
That was awesome.
I know. I think it was like 5 straight minutes of just laughter.
Well, I think this is a good place to end this because you know what? Maybe it's not good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not good. Just keep going like, oh yeah, it's all right, but it's not that. It's not the old stuff. I don't know. I hate to be like this, but it is what it is.
And you know what? You said you saw a lot of positive reviews as well, though. So I mean, maybe it's mixed. Maybe a lot of people do like it. Maybe it just wasn't for us.
You know, at a certain point, some of these albums don't become for mass consumption. They become for the audience and their fan base. And if the fan base likes it, then it is what it is.
Agreed. Who are we to say?
Yeah, exactly. But we like the Pixies. I'm going to give this as a whole. Now, you know my review system because I usually try to review it on face value. Here it is at the moment, and maybe not compared to everything else. But it's very hard for me. This might be the first time ever that I'm having a really hard time with this. And for me, it's a really solid 5, middle of the road. Not bad, not great, middle of the road.
Okay. I was actually going to go with the 5.4. 5.4.
There you go.
I was going to say.
Okay, so yeah, there's some bright spots. I guess you're correct.
Right. So it's, for me, it's a solid average, but just a little ekes a little past there just because of what Pixies are doing. And
that's true.
It's still them. It's unique sound. But other than that, like I'm probably never going to listen to this album ever.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Yeah. Showing them a little grace, but yeah, you know what? Pixies, anytime you want to stop by, please do.
Please, for the love of God.
Please, for the love of God, stop by. We really love what you're doing with TNtZC.
TNZ, zombie, whatever.
Love it. Yeah. So short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet. Just like this album. So, guys, as always, thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.